Surrogacy has offered a family-building option for some. But as it's still uncommon for Filipinos to vie for this method, we ask the questions of hows and whys and try to answer them as well. The story of Mack and Jeffrey Fernandez Williams have inspired a lot of people online. The fathers of two daughters, Olivia and Maria, have given other people hope and a new model of love. Joining us via Zoom from Ilocos, Mack and Jeffrey. It's a beautiful day. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day.
Oh, I love it. Talagang may title. It's a beautiful day. You know what? First and foremost, congratulations. We're seeing the pictures of your family, of such a beautiful family. And before we ask about your two lovely daughters, tell us first about your love story. Walk us through your journey of how the two of you met.
Well, we met in 2014, and we met online at a gay site, a gay website, which unfortunately is no longer around, but it was like a general website for most, for gay entertainment and gay people to, communicate. So we met, and within a month I flew over to meet Cignal. We met in Manila, and from there we spent a few days there. We drove up to Ilocos Norte, and we met the family, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history. We went to Hong Kong, and we got engaged there, and came back, and then we filed a K-1 visa with. We were fortunate enough that President Obama made an executive order to include gays at the time, because in many states and many locations, even in the U.S., it wasn't legal. So that's how we got started.
Well, Mack, Jeff, first of all, we're showing photos of your family here. Can you tell us a bit about your decision to have children? Of course, it has to be done via surrogacy. What was the decision making process like? And of course, what made you pursue this way in particular?
Well, we've always wanted to have our own children. We look on adoption first, but then we were not so fortunate about adopting a child, so we look for other resources, and that's how we found surrogacy. And we live in the U.S., so it's actually available for us in the U.S. Because it's all legal there, and how we decided to do true surrogacy. And I always wanted to have my own biological children, and also with my husband, so that's why we chose surrogacy.
And how was the process like? Was it very difficult, or would you say it was pretty easy for both of y'all?
Well, we're very fortunate. I would say ours was very easy. The longest wait that we had to wait was looking for a surrogate mother for our firstborn. We actually waited to be matched for 9 months, and yeah, that was just the longest part, I think.
But initially, we went with a full-service agency, which was highly recommended across the world, and they were located in Chicago, and so we flew to Chicago. We met with them, and it was an expensive endeavor, but at the same time, being our first time, it was definitely worth it, because they watched out for us. They made sure that we knew exactly what we were doing, what we're getting into. Because how much money you spend due to miscarriages or whatever, you could end up spending a lot of money and end up with no children, which we've had many friends that unfortunately have.
Can you tell us, Mack and Jeff, what was it like during the entire pregnancy process? Because I'm a mom, and I know the feeling of waiting those whole 9 months and really watching the progress of the child, of the baby, as it grows in your womb, right? So what was it like for you, the expectant fathers? Were you in touch with the surrogate mom the entire time of the pregnancy?
Yes, we're very blessed because we had an open communication with our surrogate mothers. She sends us photos, like her weekly bump. She sends us videos of the baby moving. So yeah, we're very close with our surrogate mother. Yeah, they were very nice.
But they were several states away from us. We were in the Midwest, Ohio, and she was actually in Florida. And we flew down. We met with her. We went down for the sonograms. We met with the OBGYN doctor. We met with the hospital administrator and toured the hospital. We met with her family.
And of course, I'm sure there are also challenges with regard to this whole process for you guys. It could be from the fact that you had to choose surrogacy in the first place. You mentioned that adoption was probably one of the first things that you were looking at. But then, what were the biggest barriers, or what were the biggest considerations that you guys had when you were making this decision, when you picked surrogacy, and of course, when the process was there, what was the biggest anxiety that you guys had in this entire process?
Well, having children is a sacrifice. So we had to sacrifice a lot of things that we want to do to be able to afford to having children. So
And we planned everything out. Like when we knew we wanted to have children when we got married. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about prior to marriage. And we waited for 3 years so that we could travel around the world and see things and do things together as a couple. And so it actually worked out to be 4 years because of the delay of finding a surrogate, which wasn't so easy.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
absolutely, Mac. Here in the Philippines, so far there is no real law, if I'm not mistaken, or legislation with regards to surrogacy. Why would you recommend that it become more available here in the Philippines, accessible here in the Philippines, considering the process that you went through? There are adoption processes here for those who want to be parents who could not be parents by themselves for whatever reason. Do you feel that surrogacy should be something that the Philippines does look into as a way of having children?
yes, Paul, I would definitely agree with that one. Yes, you're right. Surrogacy is not legal in the Philippines. They say it's just a gray area right now, and I would really be happy if it's available for a lot of couples like us, because I'm pretty sure a lot of couples like us, two moms or two dads, or even just single parents that want to have their own children,
Right.
that cannot conceive their own children, right? Or having heterosexual couples that cannot conceive their own children, naturally, then we could have this surrogacy as a help to be able to achieve their dreams of having their own children eventually. So hopefully, yeah, in the future they'll be able to have legislations about it, and it becomes legal fully.
Yeah, y'all mentioned earlier that surrogacy, this whole process was a bit expensive. I'm just so curious, and I'm sure our viewers are as well. How much, y'all don't have to say like the exact amount you guys spent. I know that's private, but can you give us a range of how much surrogacy would cost?
It really varies quite a bit, and part of that is because of the cost of the surrogate itself. I mean, you when you go into the process, depending on what your needs are, so it can vary anywhere from 5 million pesos to 10 million pesos.
Wow.
The surrogate is very expensive.
This
You have to buy them insurance,
They don't have insurance.
if they don't have it. Some companies offer it in the U.S., but most companies don't sponsor surrogacy, or insurance for surrogacy. So you end up buying that. You're responsible for that person for up to 6 months after the pregnancy. If there's any complications that, which many people do experience in natural childbirth, in order to be a surrogate, they have to have at least 2 natural births to full term.
or just
And-
one.
Yeah,
No, just one.
Oh, okay.
They should be able to
That's so
have their
cute.
own children already. So, and depending on how many times you became a surrogate already, like if you're a first-time surrogate mother, then I think your compensation is lesser. But if you're a proven surrogate mother, then your
Compensation is
your compensation gets higher.
Yeah, because
You're paying-
the track record is there.
Yeah.
But we were just showing some footage from your pages, two dads and 2 daughters, and we're talking a lot about the cost, but then it feels like all of that is out of your mind right now. Just looking at the joy that you have with your kids, can you tell us a bit about the feeling that you both had when you finally had your daughters? And of course, I'm sure a lot of people are actually wondering, those who are not familiar with the process, is the surrogate mother involved in their lives at all in any way, shape, or form?
Go ahead.
Well, not exactly. I mean, we're friends with them, but they, first of all, they have their own families, they have their own children, and they even talking to our surrogates, they never had that feeling that it was their baby, even after birth, and they knew they were carrying it for somebody else. And so, we had really good relationships with our surrogates, And our egg donor, who we had also, we have actually a closer relationship. And we brought her back for a second time to try to have our second child.
But just to clarify, our surrogate mothers are not the biological mother of our children. We have a separate egg donor who donated her eggs for us. Our surrogate mothers are just carrier of our children. I mean, I don't want to put it that way, but they just carried our babies for us to be able to have them.
Okay.
So they're not connected to our surrogate mothers. But yes, we do have like a semi-professional relationship with them until now. We talk to them once in a while. Even with the egg donor of our children, we do talk to her. She follows us everywhere in our social media accounts. So we sell occasions with our children when they like their birthdays or like milestones. We send photos to her or to them as well. And then she sends birthday greetings to them on their birthday. So in the future, if our children would like to be able to foster that relationship with our egg donor, then they are freely and open to do that. Of
that's
course,
nice.
with the decision of the egg donor as well. It has to be mutually agreed
right.
upon.
So there are so many people involved in this process. There's the egg donor, and then there's the surrogate mom. Now, what about your relatives, your own families? What did they think about this whole thing?
Well, like, I mean, so as a part of the LGBTQ plus community and group in the Philippines, I moved to the US when I was 22. So, I never thought that I would be able to have my own children. So, going to the US, it opened a lot of ideas or, opportunities for me. And when I told my parents or my family that, yeah, we're doing the process, of course, they were like so excited. They didn't know what is it about because, like what I said, it's not like a regular topic in the Philippines. Surrogacy is not a regular topic here in the Philippines. So I had to explain to them. But they were very excited. They were very supportive. And yeah, like, I think they love our children more than they love me now.
No, I think for sure. I mean, they were so excited. I mean, the thought of a gay man having children that are even biologically connected is amazing. His parents are just so much in our lives and so helpful. It's unbelievable.
Sisters.
As well as two sisters. I mean,
And your siblings too.
yeah, and my siblings. I have a sister and 3 brothers that are all very supportive.
I just want to say your 2 daughters are so beautiful. I love looking at y'all's pictures. And I'm sure, obviously, the first time around when you guys did it, it was harder, right? You guys were more anxious. Walk us through how it was like the second time around. Was it easier for you guys or was it about the same?
Well, it was a lot easier because I had my parents in the U.S. So really hold our baby, second baby, because
they
like
adopted her.
yeah, this is our baby now.
Yeah.
Like, so it's easier for us for the second time around. But when during the first time it was just the 2 of us, I was working and Jeff was the full-time dad because he's retired. So I was working like 50 to 60 hours a week. So, and we had a farm at that time, and we had so many animals. We had livestock, we had goats, we had cows, we had chickens, and we had a 60-acre farm. So it was a lot, but we survived, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Mack, that's just so Pinoy. Nandun yung mga magulang mo, your parents there for your second child, just being there, making sure to take care of the baby. But Mo, you had something to follow up.
Yeah, I had another question. I'm just so interested. Are you guys planning on having a third one?
Possibly, right? It's very
Possibly,
expensive.
yeah.
And then also, I don't think we really realized how expensive the upbringing of the child is. Like our first child is now in parochial school, and so it's like it's a constant battle.
But we do have embryos that are frozen right now, so they're just waiting to be born again if we do plan to have another baby or 2 more babies in the future.
But I think all the planning in the world doesn't guarantee anything. Like we did trips to Florida, and like I say, we met with the hospital administrators. She took us through the entire ward for the babies, showed us where we would stay in the hospital after the birth. And the day we got there, the nurses knew nothing about it.
Okay.
So, I mean, we were like, oh my God, but they
Yeah.
worked it out. So, but, it's like you just have to relax and really let it go.
Yeah.
Just looking at this from a personal basis, I know this is going to be a very personal question, but then do you have a hard time explaining to your daughters the concept of surrogacy, especially growing up? I'm sure they must have had questions growing up with regard to how they came to be.
Well, we're very open with our daughters.
Honest.
We're very honest with her. We've been telling her stories every time. Like we have bednight stories and how they're created, or how they were born, or how are we blessed to have them. So yeah, our firstborn Maria, she's very smart. She knows everything. She even knows who her egg donor, her surrogate mothers, how she was created by God. That was that was brought us to us. And yeah, and we do plan to be the same thing with our second-born. I mean, she's not, she's
Not there
yeah,
yet.
she's not there yet, but we do plan to do the same thing with her. Like, we do not want our children to be like going somewhere and like, hey, you are like this. So we want them to know now.
Mack and Jeff, lastly, before we let you go, what is your advice to those who are looking into doing this as well, surrogacy?
Get a good lawyer and make sure that there's somebody that's into that area of study, and make sure you're well protected. And there's a way to cut costs, but a lot of times when you're cutting costs, you're taking greater risk.
And and do your own research. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, since we already had the process twice. So we're very open about trying to give advice, but it's gonna be still up to them. So I would say do your own homework. So do your research.
Twice and maybe a third time. I don't know. I know you mentioned the cost, but you never know. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Coming from Ilocos Norte, Mack and Jeffrey Fernandez Williams. And again, congratulations on your beautiful babies, and we love watching your page. And again, follow them on their social media. You're going to get a lot of love there. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Hey guys.
Right, but you know
that
what a
story. Family.
I was smiling the whole time. I wasn't even on camera, but it's just, you can't help but smile.
Yeah, just this looking at the kids and, just seeing that they also understand the
Right.
process.
Yeah.
Because it's so complicated. Diba?
It
Di na siya
is.
simple.
I was actually going to ask Sana what it's like, the challenges of raising the kids with a different dynamics. Diba? Iba yung family nila eh.
Well, and I didn't realize there were two different types of surrogacy as well.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that they have like
Yeah.
an honest policy, especially with their kids.
Yeah, but
young.
again, like what we mentioned, dito sa Pilipinas, it's not necessarily, it's not legal yet, if I'm not mistaken. And there is an issue with regard to illegal surrogacy here in the Philippines that has been covered by certain media organizations overseas as well. So hopefully, if it does become a real process, a legitimate process here in the Philippines, it becomes safer as well.
Yes,
Kasi grabe, it is a risk for a lot of people involved.
It is. I mean, do you see the Philippines eventually adapting and
Yeah, you never
making it
know.
legal?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't go there because there are some couples who cannot, heterosexual
Right,
couples
exactly.
who can't have kids anyway and
Yes,
would like the
yes,
option. So
yeah.
instead of having legal option, why not try and why not have that option here in the Philippines? But again, it's up for debate.
Right.
We're not legislators.
I know, we're not.
We'll see. We'll see what
Seeing
happens.
the happy faces of their children and them as a couple, it's worth it. Everything that they went through
Absolutely.
was
It's
just worth
possible.
it.
It's
Yeah.
possible for
Yep,
sure.
and I'm happy for them.